Yeah. You gotta work. You gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down.
Welcome to Let's Talk with Carl Lee and frequent guest hosts Hollis Lewis and Lisa Odie, where sports, culture, and community intersect. Join the crew as they dive into engaging conversations with guests from all walks of the sports life. Let's Talk is proudly presented by attorney Frank Walker. Real talk, real experience, real results. FrankWalkerLaw.com, and by the all-new historic Quoyer Diner in downtown Charleston, online at QuoyerDiner.com. Let the conversation begin on Let's Talk.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carl Lee with my co-host Hollis Lewis.
Hello, hello.
And Lisa Odie.
Hello.
And Lisa is going to introduce a individual on the show today that we are privileged to have her here, and I'm excited to just kind of hear some of the things that some of the answers to some of the questions that we have. I can't wait. So Lisa,
yes,
go ahead and introduce our guest, please.
Thank you so much, Carl. So I would like to introduce our honorable guest on the podcast tonight. She has served as the first female mayor of Charleston, West Virginia since January 2019. She has served our city with distinction during her tenure, and we are beyond excited to have her with us tonight, proudly introducing Mayor Amy Shuler Goodwin.
Thank you.
Hello.
That's so sweet. Hey, that reminds me of you ever listen to the podcast Smart List with Jason Bateman, where they do guest, but they don't tell you who it is, but they give you a little bit of background. I felt like that. I was like,
did you like it?
Who is it going to be?
Yes.
It's me. Got it.
Honest.
It's me. I got it. I love it. Thank you.
So because I do know that Hollis and Lisa, I know, have a ton of questions for you. My question, my off the top question was when they brought your name up.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking in my mind, okay, that'd be a great guess, but I'm not really sure yet. And I know you, but I wasn't because some people don't want to do this,
short.
That didn't cross my mind.
Exactly what we were thinking.
That didn't cross
exactly
my mind at all.
what we were thinking.
But then, the moment that I saw you, it was like, oh, this is an old friend of mine. I mean, you come across it's totally different than I think what people who may not know you have never been around you.
Sure.
I think your personality and how you come across to just people is actually amazing.
You're so sweet. It's the wheeling in me.
Is that what
girl. I think it's a little bit of the wheeling girl in me. Well, I will say this to you though, Carl. When I was getting in I like to say my big girl jobs, I remember somebody saying to me long ago, you need to act a little bit more serious. You need to be a little bit more put together. You're at a 9, you need to be at a 4. Maybe tone it down a little bit. And I will admit, in my younger years, in my 20s, I listened to, especially women of influence, and thought, okay, I respect her and I like her, so I probably should listen to it. And it was the most uncomfortable time in my life when I took it from a 9 to a 4, because that's just not simply who I am. I tried to be somebody who I was not, because I thought it would fit the professional mold, the leadership mold, because there are so few women in our purview that I latched on to the women who were in front of me. A very small crowd, and I messed up for a very long period of time. And so now somebody got me a portrait that was done, and at the bottom it says, I don't need to turn it. It was a phrase that I used to say, I don't need to turn it down. You need to turn it up. It's perfect. So it was. So I appreciate that. I really try to be authentic. I'm sure my personality isn't for everybody, but this is actually who I am and who I've grown to be.
What's interesting to me about that, being an athlete, and Hollis and Lisa, you both probably can relate to this too. For the most part, I think people tend to look at you and judge you sometimes by the way that you look, your mannerisms, all of those kinds of things.
Absolutely.
The moment that I saw you and the moment that you walked in the door, there was this genuine, friendly, outgoing kind of person that there's no way. I don't know how anybody could even.
You're making me feel good. It's been a
Well, no, I just don't know.
She's starting to blush
well,
a little
I only slept
bit.
a couple
Just a
hours,
little.
so I'm like, thank you.
No, I just think that it's hard.
I hope my kids are listening.
I'm an easy person, and I think Hollis is probably an easy person that when you look at it, sometimes you can like, yeah, there's something about him I don't like. You know what I'm saying?
Hollis and Lisa are two people, and this is a compliment when I say this. They're easy to love.
Well, I appreciate that.
They're two people
I'm
that
still working on Hollis. I'm still working on Hollis, but Lisa's cool.
They're easy.
Now-
They're easy people to love.
Now, Mayor, during your administration,
Sure.
you really, revitalized Charleston, far as sports is concerned at a high level.
Yeah.
So this week we have U.S. cycling back in Charleston. Why is this an event in particular? Why is this important to Charleston?
There are a lot of things that we can talk about that are sports related, why it's important to Charleston. Listen, it is not lost on me the excitement, the national and international recognition that we get also, but let me not deceive you. I also, before I was mayor, I was the commissioner of tourism for the state of West Virginia. Tourism people aren't the fun people, we're the money people. And so the return on investment that we receive, it's the reason why, I'm such an advocate, as Commissioner Ben Slango is as well, for the Capitol Sports Complex. I grew up in a sports family. I played every single sport available to women, and I played on the men's golf team growing up because it is, number one, it's not just for body, it's for brain. But
100%.
now, growing up in a household that's what we did. I mean, yes, we prioritized academics, but we went to the schools to play, and we went to certain schools so we could compete at a very high level. I raised two boys, and one of my boys, as Delegate well knows, because he was many times there at the hockey tournaments. Every night, weekend, and holiday, we would be out on the road traveling with him. Sports is important. It's not just important for individuals, it's important for a community because it's important to be involved in something. Why is USA Cycling important? Any mayor in any city across the country would say, you mean to tell me I'm going to get positive recognition nationally and internationally for my city, get an unbelievable return on investment for my hotels? So for our hotels, bars, restaurants, shops. I mean, I was at Buck and Bet today buying my, Bike City USA t-shirt. I went to Black Sheep to get a wrap for lunch because I was running late to another meeting. If you could give that to any mayor in any city, they say, yes, please, thank you, and please shut the door on your way out. This is mine now. By the way, it's competitive. I want people to know that as well. It wasn't just hey, this sounds like a really great thing for us. It's a battle. It's just like the basketball tournaments or baseball tournaments. This isn't fun and games. This is, what are you going to give me to bring my tournament to you, and what am I going to get in return? USA, we started with table tennis. And we got a great relationship with USA National Sports, right? So it went table tennis, USA Volleyball, and those relationships spun out into USA Cycling and an amazing team that we have here in the city of Charleston. When we were afforded this opportunity, I will be honest, the most I ever watched out of any USA Cycling was when we started to talk about going out for the bid. I think I told you this. I was like, I need to get on the YouTube and look,
do a little research here.
Let's see what they're doing in their city. But this is what I do know. I found out what was important to them. It's roads. What was important to them were making sure that you had the guy from Public Works who would go on the roads and change every grate from this way to this way, the storm drains, because tires that go on bicycle. It was the details of making sure that we had not just the great city and our great vibe, but also that we had the operational support that we could go out after it. And when they, I really didn't know all that it was, all that it took, but it was a battle. I mean, it was a battle for other cities who really wanted this. So we joke in the senior staff this morning, we were talking about the traffic calls that we were getting, and then we talked about Matt this morning and what a great advocate he is for the city. Yeah, it's an ebb and flow, and everybody has to bend. It is not. It is when you bring in an event like this. Everybody has to participate for it to work. And that, by the way, means the citizens who are not coming to the races, who are not watching it, who don't give one whip stitch about it, but it will impact them because you're going to be tardy
Right.
to work, or you're going to have to go a different direction. So, you know,
But it's a small inconvenience for the payoff in the long run
And
for
this
the
has-
city
Yeah,
of
it
Charleston,
really
for
is.
sure.
And the event itself has like worldwide implications, right? We had,
yeah.
you know, as far as
right.
we had this event last year and had
Yeah.
Olympic indicator.
Yeah, I mean, so Kristen Faulkner, if anybody watched the Olympics, we did. And the good thing about this, by the way, this is a 5-year contract. So this wasn't a, hey, we're going to come this year and then we're going to,
wow.
you know,
Well, I
run
didn't
out
know
of
that.
that.
Yeah,
That's big.
It's
Yeah.
a 5-year
gonna bring
commitment
that.
for us, by the way, and that's big for us. I mean, that's committing our resources for the next 5 years. Can we do it? Can we afford to do it? And so what the benefit for us is not only do we get one Olympic cycle, we get 2 Olympic cycles.
Yes.
So our time trials were the qualifier for the Olympics. So the person who won the time trials had that ticket to Paris. Now that's big city, right?
Yes.
That
Yeah,
is.
that's pretty amazing.
And so we talk about Kristen Faulkner, and as you watched her with the Eiffel Tower in the background, flying underneath and winning the road race, a race, and by the way, she was not originally signed up to ride in, but at the last minute said, I feel good today, and I'm going to go at a separate event. Wasn't even an event that she initially thought that she had the best chance of winning, but she did. And so, you know, the road to the Olympics runs through Charleston, West Virginia.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'll
that's-
take it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll take it any day.
And what's really cool about this too, Mayor, is that it's growing, right? So this
Yes.
is the second year for the event in Charleston. I recently saw during a presser Matthew Sutton, your chief of staff. He was giving some information, to the press about added activities this year. So it's surrounding the cycling event. So what are some of the added events that have tacked? I know probably Live on the Levee. That's new, right? You added a new extra show.
We added an extra show, and we're going to do it this Friday. So we're really excited about doing that. But I will say the biggest event that we added this year was the para cycling. So this morning,
Yeah,
if
that
you were
was-
out on the
saw
streets
that.
of Charleston, you watched athletes who were amputees. You watched athletes that were blind, who were hearing impaired, or who had other exceptionalities. So I challenge anyone to do the work and the climb that it takes to compete on that level with exceptionalities. Come and get you some.
No,
it's hard to do.
Now, with those athletes, is this Olympic implications as well?
Not for those athletes,
Okay.
but it's, what is so great about USA Cycling and competing is it takes you to the next level in qualifying for other events.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so, here's the other things, which, Carl, I'm 54. Carl, I'm 54. And while I do my best and I feel like I am paying attention, last year when I got up on the podium to give the award medals to some of the young cyclists, when they they're on these bikes and they're in their uniforms, and they've got their gear on, they got their helmets, they've got their glasses, necks, they're ready to go. They come on, they get onto the stage. And this young woman, I was floored. You think braces, glasses. She had put on glasses. And I said, how was it competing? She said, well, it was okay. I just, I had school yesterday. And I said to her, honey, how old are you? She said, I'm 14. And so we're going to go back with my mom and my aunt came to, and I was just like, you are this is an Olympic athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So this 14-year-old, by the way, I said to her as I'm putting the medal, you're coming back. Oh yeah, I'll be back. I'm going to be back because you've got the Olympics. I'm gonna try to be in the Olympics.
That's
and I was like,
amazing.
what are you
Crazy.
saying?
Like, do you even know what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, she does because you
Right.
see her on that bike and she knows. And we talked a little bit about this in the green room too. I think that things can be learned, and you can just learn it. You can be taught it. It probably has something to do with who you are inside, right? That person, that thing. She's got it.
Yeah.
All she has to do is get on that bike and you go, oh, I see it. I see what you are shining right there. It comes clear when you watch these athletes compete. They're at a different level. So when we were also talking about medical teams.
Right.
Because remember, we've got a whole big medical team too. Thank you to CAMC and all of their support. But we were talking about, okay, so when a physician said, when do we know when we come in the ropes, the gates? When do we know if a cyclist falls? And the USA team looked at us like, you don't? We're like, oh, but what if he or she falls? We'll let you know. Okay. What if they're really injured? We'll let you know, because they do have concussion protocol. They have lots of protocols. But he said, I'll give you for an example. We won't give names here of these cyclists, but there is an elite cyclist, young male, who they talked about, when you know, who flipped off his bike, who obviously had thought he had broken his wrist or hand, took all of the skin, sorry everybody listening, took his skin off, gone from his knee all the way down to his ankle, completely gone on 1.5 parts of his leg, got back on the cycle, continued to ride, went to his car. By the way, you can't touch your car, your support car. You're not allowed to touch it. There's lots of rules that go into this. I'm learning every single day. But he leaned his hand in and said, just make sure it's not broken. They looked at it and said, I think you're okay. No skin. I think you're okay. And before they could say, I think you're okay, he's gone. And he came in second. This is after tumbling, head over teacups, as my mom used to say. These are athletes beyond what we look at. So you think, like, this was his moment. This was his time in this race. This wasn't in Charleston, West Virginia. But these cyclists, as we watched Kristen Faulkner as well crash on national television, this is just as you get hit on the football field, just as you get taken down on the courts, this is the way of their life. This is what they train for. This is what they do. This is, when I tell people who are thinking about coming, you won't see this unless you're here. This isn't like a regular, hey, we're cyclists. Oh, these are top level cyclists
athletes.
That are true.
Yeah, and I think that's important too, Hollis, to throw that athlete on there, because people want to separate athletes and put them into this thing.
Compartments.
Yes. Yeah. If you're doing something that requires movement, that is, I would consider athletic, period, you're an athlete.
Yeah, and the thing is, with the terrain of this area, you're going uphill, you're going downhill, you're going around curves. I mean, I was there last year downtown, and the speed in which those guys and women are hitting those curves,
it's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable that you're able to maintain balance on a bike.
And you don't know until you go in person and see it.
You don't know how fast it is
because
to go.
I wasn't sold on it. I'll be honest. Mayor, I thought, bike racing, how exciting can that be, right? I mean, really, seriously. Yeah. And so then my husband and I decided to go check it out, and we were stunned in awe when those guys go by. I mean, the sound, the motion, just all of it. I mean, it is really exciting. I mean, I'm telling you, if you have not attended this event, you really need to give it a shot.
So, Carl, I asked one of the athletes that. I said, can you hear us? Can you hear the bells? Can you hear the whistles? Can you hear the screams? The answer is no.
Yeah.
I'm completely focused on what I need to do, on my breath, on my feet, on my hands position, and I am taking in everybody around me, beside me, behind me, and in front of me, and what my pace is. I can't hear you. I appreciate you. It's so nice. Thank you for ringing your cowbells. I appreciate it. But I'm not listening to you. So that was a shock to me. Like, oh, well, I'm screaming really loud for you. Right. That's number one. But we had one complaint universally from especially our top tier. And especially our top male rider, Brandon, who said when they asked him, what did you think about the course? He said, it is one of the hardest, especially Bridge Road. It's one of the hardest courses I've ever done. In fact, it was probably too hard. It was too hard because you go up and down Bridge Road like it is your job. Yeah. Because, oh, by the way, it is, Carl. It is your job. And you go up that, 9 times, 10 times, 11 times as fast as you possibly can. It's unbelievable. These athletes are, and the other thing, if you try to get an Airbnb in town, you can't. Like, don't even try. You're locked out. Why? Something I also didn't know. They sleep with their bikes. And this is what I mean by saying it. No, isn't that funny visual?
Literally.
Like, oh, here we go. But before they get into bed, and the moment they get up, they're on it.
Right.
Positioning, loosening up, getting your juices flowing in the morning. And plus, these bikes are tens of thousands of dollars. We're not leaving a bike in a trailer. We're not leaving the bike in the back of your car or in the back of a truck.
And you didn't just go up the street and buy that bike
Walmart.
No, sir.
and get on it.
Custom.
So
That's exactly right.
let me ask this. So if I'm a spectator, I didn't get to go last year. I want to go this year. Where should I set up? Where's like the best spot to see as much as I can see?
Yeah.
And what day?
Yeah, sure. So Lisa brought this up a little bit as well. We're adding things because you only know what you know. Now we know. City Center at Slack Plaza, live music, more food, more activities for the littles as well. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Well, ready? I mean, tomorrow there'll be some continuation of the paracycling. Again, you want to see somebody who has overcome life's most significant challenges. Get out there tomorrow at 9:00 and watch those time trials up and down the boulevard. Okay, so in the morning, starting at 9, go ahead. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. You're going to, especially on Thursday and Friday, you're going to want to be at City Center at Slack Plaza. You're going to want to be there as the cowbells are going and the music is playing and they are zigzagging, watching the pace car alone.
Yeah. I watched that last year.
Let me just go ahead and say to you, I'm not one of those girls like, oh, no, thank you. I'm in. Like, let's go. I'll get in. I did it once. I will never do it again. I will eat your shoes and your hat before I do it again. And I'm not a sissy.
Now, what time on Thursday and Friday should people start
Thank you.
Being there?
Well, I hate to say this. Early, the better.
Right.
I mean, the music's going to start playing at 4, 3:30, 4. If you want to have a late, or early dinner or super late lunch, the Bridge Road is going to be insane on Sunday and Monday.
I want to see that.
That's where we were last year. It was unbelievable. We set up in front of Lola's and it was perfect.
Insane. But you know what's so cool too? I mean, I have to give a shout out to our businesses, and I don't know if that's okay on the.
Absolutely.
But what is so interesting, these weren't things that we also asked of our businesses. They just did it on their own. Scott Pettit at Pettit Jewelry did a custom, one-of-a-kind USA Cycling Charleston charm. He made it at the jewelry shop. Ellen's Ice Cream made a Criterium Crunch ice cream. Button, Buck and Betty, I bought mine today. The Bike City USA T-shirts. So small businesses, the Roadie Road beer that Fife and others or Black Sheep are selling, they're in it. Because this is what is so unbelievably cool about our community. Nobody knew last year what we were doing, but they were in. And that's what I love about us. We're doing something special for our community. We want to show off. It's kind of like when guests come over, don't take the good plates. Wait till everybody eats. Don't take a good plate. Don't take a good plate. Wait till everybody, we kind of put on, fresh flowers on the table and we put on our best. That's what everybody did and what all of our small businesses did, which made it so much easier for us when we were pitching. We had a group of cyclists, Teddy Armbrecht and Todd Goldman and Jack Hoblitzel, who we brought to the meeting, and Tim Brady, our CEO of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, who really is a wonderful captain for us in this venture. He brought the guys who ride the roads. Todd Dorcas, hey, talk to him about it. Talk to him about it. My response was, we'll do anything that you need us to do to make this happen. That was my response. Like, what do we get? What do you need us to make this happen? Because when I watched in Nashville and I watched in these other cities, I thought, we can do that.
There you go.
Yeah. Right.
So let me ask you this.
We can be big boys and girls. We can do it.
I know we're running short on time, and I just want to ask this. Like, you talked about, we brought USA Volleyball, USA Table Tennis, Junior Olympic Boxing.
That's
we
right.
had that here. We
Amazing.
had the TBT. We had the Strongman Conference.
Right.
Now we have US Cycling.
That's right.
What is Mayor Goodwin's dream event? And the basketball tournament, too. I forgot to mention that. What's Mayor Goodwin's dream event for Charleston, West Virginia? What's if you could just have the magic wand and say, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to bring this here. What's that event for you?
Yeah. So it's actually not an event. It is a movement.
Okay.
And so what I want to see is little girls and little boys get to compete and play on surfaces and in facilities that other kids in other states get to participate in.
We just talked about that.
We sure did. Oh, my goodness.
Because you know what is not okay? It is not okay. And what I love, we turfed 11 fields in the past 6 years. Why is that important? Because when you go and you watch the little powder puff girls and you watch them play, they now get to compete on a surface and a playing field that other girls in other states are playing on every single second of every single day. and now they can compete at that level. That's what I want.
Absolutely.
And so it's not just about the sports complex. It's not just about inspiring young athletes. I was so fortunate in my life to be able to see so many wonderful and powerful athletes in my career, watching them play. But I want us to have facilities and opportunities for our kids to be able to think, I can do that, to see it, to be it, but actually mean it, not just say it. That's a bumper sticker. You know, you got to say it to be it. I want you to be able to play on that surface. I want you to be able to have 72 volleyball teams. Game on. I want that for our girls, so they don't have to travel to Columbus or Pittsburgh or Cincinnati to play with those. Have those girls come and play with you here. So while it's not one event, I mean, you know, that's what I want. It is much bigger than one single event.
That's awesome.
That's huge.
And that's what we were just talking about as far as facilities. You're looking at I pay attention to track and field at the high school level around the nation, and you're looking at some of these athletes and some of these times that they're running, and it's related to having those facilities so they can, you know, get the best out of those youth athletes.
That's right.
For sure.
That's right. It's important. It is important to give them the equipment. And, you know, as Carl and I were talking about as we were coming down from the green room, I still believe that, it might be something right in your core, in your gut of who you are and your makeup. But I think giving opportunity and having people like this guy and this guy and this girl in front of them doing things and mentoring them it's important. It might be just as important. You know, I went home. I had to go home and be with my mom over the past couple of days, and my dad, who played golf his entire adult career and professionally for a little bit, I went to go hit golf balls with him. Just to blow off some steam. And if I could have my dad standing behind me and mentoring me every single time I went out to play golf, I'd be a scratch golfer today, because it does matter who's in your ear. It does matter who's standing behind you. Because I said to him, Dad, I can't get this new, because it just for my birthday he got me new clubs. I'm the baby of the family. Can you tell? I got new clubs from my dad for my birthday. I'm 54. My dad's still buying me birthday gifts. But it does matter to have the right person who cares about you, who cares about your development, and oh by the way, who's not easy on you.
Right.
Why are you standing like
I know that.
Stop going on your heels. Why are you on your heels? Stop getting on your heels. You did it again. Do it again. I mean, again, I'm like, okay, Dad.
The right guidance.
The guy behind us is going to be like, why is that old guy being mean to that girl over there? But it does matter. It matters who's around you and who you surround yourself with. But I'm telling this crew knows better than I even do. But having USA Cycling has been monumental for the city of Charleston, that we get it not only this year, but another 3 years after that, and get to watch America's Olympic athletes come and play
that's what's awesome,
and drive our economy and be here and love what we do. And oh, by the way, many of them were here last week and the week before. Because you didn't see them. They were training. And they were there, because that's also what's important. And for us to be a bike city and to be known as that and something positive, you do this every day in your work, Delegate, that you try to push positive for the state of West 100%. Virginia. We, our chips on our shoulder are this high, right? We have pride about who we are and what we've come from. And I think to have this, to be able to stick our chest out a little farther and put our, as my mom used to say, our peacock feathers out, makes me very, very proud that we get the opportunity to do that.
100%.
Yes, absolutely.
Mayor, we appreciate.
I appreciate you.
We may have to have you come back.
For real.
I'm coming back with you.
And I hope
I'm good with it.
I hope Mother Nature's kind to the event this week.
Yeah.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. Well,
I will say to you, if you watched the Criterium last year, it doesn't matter to them.
Yeah.
It doesn't
probably
matter.
better training for them, to be honest, right?
It doesn't matter to them. They will ride
anyway.
as hard and as fast if it is pouring down sideways, because, by the way, it was some of the worst conditions, but it's training. It's what they do.
It's what they do.
It's what they do.
So,
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back.
All right, cats and kittens, have you heard? The Warrior Diner is back. Step into the classic vibe of one of Charleston's most historic restaurants. Don't miss the daily Blue Plate specials. Breakfast served all day, every day, and free parking. With an outdoor patio coming for the summer, an elegant basement bar, and customizable event space, 1022 Warrior Street offers an experience unlike any other. Open 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit warriordiner.com for all the need to know and relive the good times at the Warrior Diner.
Let's face it, bad things happen to good people. Seriously injured in a car accident, trucking accident, or even wrongfully arrested. Life happens, and when it happens to you, you will need sound legal advice and aggressive representation. That's when you call attorney Frank Walker at 304-413-0179. That's 304-413-0179. Lock it in your phone, text it to a friend. 304-413-0179. Or visit online at attorneyfrankwalker.com.
Let's Talk with Carl Lee is presented by attorney Frank Walker and the all-new historic Warrior Diner. Come in on episodes, ask the crew questions, or suggest topics on our Facebook page. Search for Let's Talk with Carl Lee and remember to like the page to become part of the conversation. Subscribe by searching Let's Talk with Carl Lee on your favorite podcast service and tune in Thursday evenings at 7 or Sunday nights at 8 for Let's Talk with Carl Lee. This is Let's Talk with Carl Lee. Now back to the conversation.
What's going on, guys? It's Hollis Lewis. Welcome back. We have another special guest. We have West Virginia State University All-American, All-Region, All-Conference track and field athlete, Candace Morris. How you doing?
I'm good.
Hollis, let me ask you a question because I'm gonna test you here a little bit.
Here we go.
When it comes to All-American,
yeah.
Define that, because for folks who just like have heard that, like when you're an All-American, they've just heard it and they don't necessarily know exactly what it means. Can you give them a description?
Like, out of all the thousands of athletes that play or participate in a particular sports, all the hundreds of schools that have that sport, that you are one of the best, if not the best, athlete in that particular category or sport. So it's really a finite small group of athletes within collegiate sports, and you have performed if you've earned the spot of being in the top category.
And that is something that nobody can ever take away from you. Okay, so we go. I just wanted to make sure we got a definition of it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Lisa.
That is so awesome. I'm so impressed. What is your event, your specific event that you are good, are good at?
I run the 60,
okay,
the 100, the 200, the 400, 4x1, and the 4x4.
Okay, now the 60 meter, that's the indoor. Speaking to the mic. Yeah, so the 60,
I'm
that's
out of breath
indoor.
just listening. I can't breathe.
So far as the All-American distinction, that was All-American for the indoor track season. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a 60.
Yeah, so and just for those who don't know, you have an indoor and outdoor season as far as track and field is concerned. Okay, and you just wrapped up your sophomore season, and I think we did pretty well at the conference meeting. Am I correct? So what happened there?
I broke the record in the 200, and we broke the record in the 4x1 and the 4x4.
Oh my goodness!
See? And I think the all-regional team just came out. You made the all-regional team.
Yes.
So I was a track guy and ran track, but I was never an elite runner. It didn't, like, I wasn't going to ever win the 100 or 200. Give me a little bit of background on, like, what did you do? Was there anything specific that you do or did that helped you get to this place, and/or are you just, is this just a talent that you have discovered?
Well, I started running track when I was 7. I ran with the Capital City Striders. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I started running in middle school, and then it carried on to high school. And then they had started a track program at State, and I didn't want to go too far from home yet. So I committed there. And then my freshman year, it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. So then I trained all summer so my sophomore year could go the way I wanted it to be.
Go ahead, Hollis. Go ahead.
Now, as far as that, so you spent the first 2 years at West Virginia State University. Again, you've had a monumental success, particularly in the infancy of a newly resurrected track program. But you are hitting the transfer portal, as it were, as a lot of the kids are doing these days. What, again, and you can go as far as you want into it, what drove that decision to take your talents elsewhere?
Well, I kind of wanted to leave anyways because the state, it doesn't really have, like, we don't have a track. Mm-hmm. So, and I didn't see us getting a track anytime soon. By the time we got a track, I'd probably be out of college. So it's like, it's not really worth it.
And that's pretty important.
Facilities.
Yeah.
Facilities.
And again,
so it came down to facilities?
Yeah, facilities, and then like money. They had cut our scholarship money, which, I mean, that wouldn't have affected me because I'm an in-state student. Mm-hmm. It was like everybody I ran track with from my freshman year was leaving, and I would have been with a whole new team. So it's like,
okay.
Was that part of like the 4x1 or 4x2? Would that have impacted those teams?
Yeah, both teams are gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
And as far as that, like, you know, in track and field, because I think we pretty much, like West Virginia State University, that is, we dominated as far as, you know, our conference meet, as far as the athletes that we had. Mm-hmm. But because we don't have a large number, it was hard to get a team championship because we don't have like the distance runners and different things of that nature. Because if you look at it, you know, some of the field, the shot put, the discus, the sprinting events, the sort of those middle 800, 400 races, we did really, really well on both sides of men and women.
Yeah, well, that's what it came down to because it was like we were supposed to have 60 people in the team. And they cut the scholarship money, so we weren't able to have as many people as we thought we would, so that we couldn't win a conference championship because of that.
And how has that affected your ability to train? Like, since you don't have a track, how did you compensate as far as being able to get in shape and keep in shape for all of these different events that you had coming up?
Well, we'd go back and forth between Lately and St. Albans.
Okay.
St. Albans is a terrible track. Like, it might be the worst track I've ever ran on in my life.
Honesty. The truth shall set you free. We say that.
And then Lately is good, but there's better tracks. But, I mean, we just had to go there really early in the morning because UC would be practicing there in the afternoon. And at other schools, they have tracks on campus, so they don't have to practice in 30-degree weather, 29 degrees, 25. Like, I didn't like that. So again, you're all American, all regional, all conference. You've done, and when you broken numerous conference and state records. West Virginia State University, that is school records. So where were you thinking about? Where's the next landing spot?
You might have put her. You might have put her on the spot.
No, I mean, I'm having to make a decision on if I want to go D1 or D2 or not. That's really what it comes down.
Well, let me ask this question. Since he's already kind of opened it up, since you said D1 or D2, I have to assume that there's some D1s out there that are interested.
Yes.
Okay.
Is, yeah.
What are you particularly looking for? Not necessarily saying the school, but what would be the perfect scenario for you to walk into a D1, D2 school that has everything that you think you want? What are those things that you think you want and need?
Well, I know I want to go to another HBCU. I know that. So
okay.
That's what I've really been looking into. So that's probably where I'll go. I have an idea where I'm going to go. It just comes down to like scholarship money and stuff.
Right.
Like that.
Okay.
Right.
So as far as facilities are concerned, is that something that you're definitely like looking at and analyzing?
Yeah, the schools that told me they don't have no track, not even.
They're out.
Yeah.
That's kind of a really a bad thing that you would have to have that, that be in your mind as and justifiably a reason why you would leave West Virginia State University. I think that's a bad. I mean, that's a bad sign. I think, but obviously, to where you want to go, what you want to be. You're in a situation that you are forced to go.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't think there's nothing that anybody could remotely judge you on other than making a very, very smart decision and finding a place to where you can be even better.
So you've obviously already let your coaching people know that, you know, you're leaving. What was their reaction? I'm sure it was probably a little bit of a mixture of sadness and... Tell me about that process. If you could only see the face that's being made. Right?
I think a lot of people were trying to convince me to stay.
Yes, I can see that.
For their own good, but not mine.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
See, and I talk about transferring and all that, and I think like there are a lot of transfers that are and I'll say for the benefit of the athlete, but it may not help them.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They just want to leave, and it may benefit them, but it's not necessarily going to be beneficial for them.
Yeah.
In this particular situation, this is
a whole different situation.
Yeah, this is a totally different situation to where anybody who hears the whole story
would understand.
And if I'm at the school, if I'm the coach, I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, and I wish you the best of luck. Let me know if I can do anything for you.
Yeah, I might be like it, but I also might be like, look.
Let's
try to sweeten the pot.
Let's talk about just being a legend.
I can understand.
Let me try to sell you something else.
I do. I see that. I can see the coaches, you know, because you may not understand, and maybe you do, when you're this athlete, and that means you're that athlete for that team. Mm-hmm. Okay? And if I'm a coach and that athlete is legitimately being shortchanged and I can't help you.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I just think that it would be extremely difficult for me to know that I have to let you go.
So let me ask you this, and I'm gonna get in your pocket a little bit. So for track, like we hear about the NIL money for like basketball athletes, football athletes, and different things of that nature. As far as just track and field, not you personally per se, it is NIL kind of a factor in like track and field as it stands today?
Wait, what do you mean, like
NIL, like, you know, at a D1 level, are those athletes being compensated like similar to what like the football and basketball players are being compensated?
I could say yes, but not as much.
Not as much.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
sure.
so there. Yeah.
Let me ask you two something. To her point of saying maybe not at the level as basketball or football.
Yeah.
That's why I think it has to be across the board. Everybody at whatever level you transfer, this is the top money that you could get, and the only person who gets that is the top athletes. Mm-hmm. And then then it goes down, because again, you can have a top athlete who's going to go to maybe go to a D1 school, D2 school, and change the dynamics there. You know, I'm already making the case that you're going to change the dynamics.
You already did it.
Yeah, you've already done it at state. So you're going to change those dynamics, and the NIL money, if it's small, that's unfair. Because I think NIL should actually come, whether it's the donor should bring that into the school, and the school should break that out based on athletes in every single sport.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say I think that you're right. I mean, morally, that's the way that it should work. But I think what happens is the school is looking at the sports that bring in the biggest revenue, and that's who the athletes. Those are the athletes that are going to be compensated more because they bring in more revenue for the school. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's probably the bottom line. Like everything else in this world, is it's all about the money.
Yeah, and I think the NCAA, unfortunately, they forfeited that sort of scenario, which probably would have been a little bit better than what's currently going on, because the money's coming from third parties.
Right.
So if I'm a third party, I can earmark said funds and I can say, hey, I want this to go to XYZ. So unfortunately, I think the problem is the way the money is coming in. That's the problem.
It's earmarked.
Right. Yeah, it's earmarked. Right. Or, like I said, it's just not coming in from like the NCAA, where they would probably have to be a little bit more equitable in the distribution of it.
Yeah.
So, but Candace, so what is you know, like, again, you've reached a lot of success early. So what is the ultimate goal far as a track and field career?
To go pro.
To go pro? Mm-hmm. Okay, and we seen like even at the because I think there was a pro race recently, a pro meet recently. So track and field is actually starting to just it's starting to come out of the Olympics, and we're starting to see it more on those off years, and the compensation's going up and the notoriety's going up as well.
Starting to evolve.
Yeah.
So did you actually enter, Candace, the portal, or was this something that you did on your own as far as researching the schools that you wanted to possibly transfer to?
I did it on my own.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the goal? What's the goal when you leave? What's your goal? Where are you? What do you see happening? What do you think is going to ultimately be your best race? What's the goal? If it is the Olympics, what is that race that you would be interested in running, or would you want to run them all?
I think I want to move up to the 2 and the 4. Yeah.
That quarter ain't no joke.
Yeah.
Quarter ain't no
The 100 is too hard.
Well, it's funny because like when I was running track, and like I said, I was not anywhere remotely as talented as you, and my coaches kept telling me you need to run the 4 because you're never gonna win the 100, you're never gonna win the 200, but you might have a chance at the 4. All I could think of in the 4 was how I'm gonna feel coming out of that curve.
Have the oxygen tank.
Yeah, I'm like thinking like, man, that's gonna kill me. Do you think how do you feel about the quarter? Like, how is that in your mind? Like when you're thinking about running something like that, like are you, because my thing is I can't get past how bad I'm gonna feel when I get done. I'm standing at the takeoff, and I'm like already like, man, when I get on this other side, I'm gonna be dead.
There's your block.
Yeah, that's my block. What is it mentally to you when you're running races like that?
Well, the 400's not that bad. You just got to be in shape for it.
Okay,
The gospel according to Candace. Yes.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
I probably just never got there.
And then the 100, it's just really technical. Really, 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 really technical.
Wow.
And if you don't got it down, you just don't got it.
See, and I don't think people
don't know
They
that.
don't know that side of it. No, they don't.
To your point about the
kinda like
400,
the biking.
you're 100%, right?
Right.
And I'm thinking like, I don't know if we really work on, I'm not shooting at coaches, but I don't know if we are putting in the technicality of the 100-yard dash. Because, and again, we're talking about somebody who is, you might as well say, is professionally ranked at it. Saying that, and yet you got kids running the 100, just getting in the blocks and just going and just trying to run.
Yeah.
And I think that's a challenge.
It's different.
Yeah, that's why I was saying that earlier to Lisa. Like when you look at around the nation and you're seeing some of these times with these athletes, I'm talking about high school athletes in Texas and Florida and California. It is amazing the times that we're seeing in the 1, the 2, and the 4 in the relay races. So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, what is your goal for the 100? Like, what do you think? Where do you think you could be in the 100-yard dash, time wise?
With the right training?
Mm-hmm. If everything was right the way you want it, you had all the good training, you had a trainer even, and you're on the line ready to run. Where do you think, what would be a goal that you would like to hit?
By the end of junior year, probably 11-2.
Ooh, that's what I'm saying.
That's a lofty goal.
Hey, I appreciate that. That's why I asked, because I wanted to hear if there was an actual goal, and I'm sure that you have a goal for each single one of the races that you do. Yeah. And I think when we talked about like what is it that motivates people, I think it is that dream. I think it is that time that you put out there. That's the thing that really makes you go.
Absolutely.
So Hollis, you go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, again, we thank you for coming on, and like, again, you've really done. I'm an alumni. I'm a supporter of West Virginia State University. You love the university, and we're really proud of everything that you accomplished. And like I said, moving forward, you always be a yellow jacket in our heart. But for real, we wish you like nothing but the best of luck. And I know you're going to do amazing, and I can't wait to watch you on the other side.
And make sure Hollis has your phone number so that we can reach out sometime. Once you get going, we'll be back in touch with you and have you back on the show, even if we got to do it by phone.
Yes,
absolutely.
All right.
Good luck,
Candace.
Good luck, Candace.
To me, when I think about, when I listen to her and I'm looking at her and her, her mannerisms and all that, like she seems so like gentle. But on the other side of it is like she's so matter of fact about what it is that she wants. Now, she said she named some schools, but she also made a statement like it was going to be this, like that she feels like it's going to be this particular school, which again shows me like some certainty in her, and she's already got her life in a way that she can see her life in a way. She has a plan for it. Yeah. Exactly. And I think success falls into that category of when you're so certain about where you want to go, why you're going there, what you want from it. I think that is like, I don't know if it can get any better than that.
Yeah, especially at a young age.
At a very young age,
she's so young, but very mature for her age. You can tell that, and goal oriented, and that's what people that are successful in life kind of set those goals early in life, and they don't waste a lot of time on figuring out what they want. I'm not saying that all people do that are successful. Some people have to take their time and kind of take the long way home to figure out what they want to do with their life. But it seems like the ones that at a younger age figure out this is what I want and this is what I have to do to get it.
100%.
Those are the people that make it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that anybody could say to her to make her like think in her mind, you can't achieve it.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think she's going places, and I can't wait to watch her. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit while we have a little bit of time is obviously the Baseball Hall of Fame. So the Baseball Hall of Fame has opened their doors potentially back up to Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Johnson, which I don't understand that one, but just specifically talking about Pete Rose. And I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on, is it too little too late? Is it sort of a slap in the face after he's passed away? And will this lead to potentially Barry Bonds getting in as well? What do you guys think?
I think let me answer the second question first. That's an easy one. I think yes, it will ultimately impact it. I think it may impact. I think there was 17 banned players.
There were.
I think there's going to be. I think it'll change a lot of those players. Okay, so I'm thinking that's opening the door.
Yeah.
Okay. On the flip side of that, like, I don't know. Can you take this stigma off me even if you put me in the hall?
That's a good question. That's actually a really good question. That's a good. What do you?
I don't know. I think that when all of this went down back in, 1989, I believe.
Yeah.
And he was the manager of the Reds when he was actually caught betting on Major League Baseball. I don't think it was actually on his own team, but he was, betting on. At that time, betting was not looked at today like it is. I mean, people, it's kind of arm in arm with sports.
Yes.
I mean,
you advertise during games.
Yes.
Gambling.
So, I think if this infraction would have happened in today's day and time, I don't think it would have been a lifetime ban.
Right.
Also, there was some information. I looked up some things that in 2015, he approached the commissioner. I think his name is Manfred. That was the one that reversed the decision. And he actually, he applied to be reinstated. And they interviewed him. They did some, talking with him. And they point blank asked him in 2015, he lived in Las Vegas at that time, Pete Rose did. And they asked him point blank, are you still betting on sports? And his first answer was, no, I don't do that anymore. And then later he came back and retracted that statement and said, yes, but I do it legally on other sports, not baseball, but on other, different areas in sports. And so when he came back and kind of retracted that statement saying he's still betting, that's when Manfred came back and said, you're still a threat to the game, and we cannot reinstate you back to be able to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I don't know now whether or not that made a difference, that he first said he'd quit gambling and then later changed his mind. Maybe that impacted their ideas about whether or not he should be able to be inducted, but it probably didn't help that he at first didn't tell the truth.
My thing is, even at the onset of it, I don't care. You didn't bet or at least you didn't get caught betting as a player.
Right.
We're talking about the Hall of Fame as a player, not a manager, right? And Pete Rose, to me, embodies what a professional athlete should be. Like, they go hard. They're passionate about the game. I mean, he got the name Charlie Hustle just because of the vigor in which he played the game. So, to me, he should have never been banned. Again, the ban could have been like, well, you can't work in professional baseball anymore because you violated rules. And that's fair. That's fine.
That's right.
Right?
Yes.
And for what you did on the field, you're the hit king. You played your rear end off. You should be in the Hall of Fame. Same thing with Barry Bonds. And my problem with the whole Bonds conversation is this. He played during the steroid era. He's the best of the steroid era, right? So there's allegations that he possibly did. He never confirmed. But here's what we don't know. During the steroid era, we can tell you who definitively got caught. We can tell you who we had suspicions of, but we really can't tell you who didn't use it, right?
Right.
Because there may have been a player or two who we all hold up high, who we say who didn't use. They could have used it to get over an injury, to get out of a slump. There's a variety of ways in which maybe you used it for a short time to get over the hump, and then you just never touched it again. So during the steroid eras, I'm not saying that we assume everybody did it, but we don't really know who didn't do it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
So
a good
to
point.
me, when we talk about Bonds, when we talk about Pete Rose, there's no doubt they should be in the Hall of Fame because they were the best players of their time. We're some of the best players.
Right.
You if you're not going to put them in the Hall, okay, they are your history. You know what I'm saying? They are your history. They are, if you go back in time and you start to think about who's shaping the game, those two names are huge. And the fact that you can actually act like they did not exist, and or that people do not love them.
That part too.
That's that part.
That part too.
Because if you're thinking that there's some people who might be like, yeah, they don't deserve to get back in, but, or what. But I'm gonna make the case. There's a ton of fans of those two players they don't care what they done. They saw what they actually did on the field.
And this is my question, and you guys may know the answer because I surely don't. What kind of got this conversation started about, the permanent bans on these players and allowing them to expire after, they passed away? What brought that up? Because Pete Rose passed away like a year and a half ago, correct?
Yeah.
It's been
maybe 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Maybe.
And so I just wondered what precipitated this whole conversation.
That's actually a good question, which I don't know the answer
I don't know the answer.
But I would also say, when it comes to, particularly like I would say not any Hall of Fame, but particularly baseball and football, but we're just talking about baseball. And I know this is a point that you always make about who are the people voting on this thing?
Yes.
Like we got to have a better process. Like, I need to know. Come out front, and I need to know your vote. I need to know your qualifications, and more than anything, I need to know, like, are you paying attention to the sport? Are you still engaged in this thing to give an accurate assessment? Because to your point, Lisa and Coach Lee, people love Barry Bonds. People really love Pete Rose.
Yeah.
He is beloved. He's not like a liked figure.
Yeah.
He is a beloved figure. People really want to see him in all. People have quit watching baseball because he's not in the Hall of Fame.
You come to West Virginia and you talk about Pete Rose.
Yeah.
Right. You got a conversation. And so
Oh, go ahead.
Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, I was in Cincinnati this past weekend at a Reds game, and the monument outside of the stadium is still people. I guess the fans, when they come from different places, they lay the fresh roses on his
Nice.
monument.
Awesome.
I mean, so you can go any game, like any time, and you'll see the fresh roses all around his monument.
See, and I hate the idea of giving somebody, like baseball league, football league, basketball league, recognizing a player, that has had some issue, and you recognize you punish him his entire after his career, you punish him, or during his career you punish him, and then you're going to try to celebrate him when he passes.
Yeah,
I mean he is what he is, or she is what she is to your program now.
Yeah,
and whatever the other things that happen to them, whether they end up becoming a drug addict, they end up doing this, they end up doing that, that's over there. They still make the mark on the league.
100%.
Yeah.
And the fact that you want to try to change that, you can't.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is, like, look, that happened when he was a manager. It ain't got nothing to do with that man's prolific career.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
Well,
I hope he gets in. Congratulations, Pete Rose. I'm calling it now.
I hear you.
I love it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get out of here, and we appreciate you listening, and we'll be back again soon.
Let's Talk with Carl Lee is presented by attorney Frank Walker and the all-new historic Quayer Diner. Comment on episodes, ask the crew questions, or suggest topics on our Facebook page. Search for Let's Talk with Carl Lee, and remember to like the page to become part of the conversation. Subscribe by searching Let's Talk with Carl Lee on your favorite podcast service, and tune in Thursday evenings at 7 or Sunday nights at 8 for Let's Talk with Carl Lee.
If you fall, dust it off and get back up on your feet. Anything could be a win, yup, even defeat. They say sugar bad for you, wise victory sweet. Couldn't play with big kids, I had to sit in the street and watch from a distance, but over time I grew. If I put in the work, in no time I'm due. Everything that I worked and prayed, I'm okay. If you ask me, how did I do it, I'm gon' say, you gotta work, grind, shine, it's mine. Gotta show everybody it's my time. Getting here, you gotta work, grind, shine. Never mind who talking down, cause they lying. Don't talk, you gotta work. 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 You gotta work.